Well, Gemar Chatima Tova, everyone. It's good to be with all of you on this beautiful evening. May you all be inscribed for a year of joy and fulfillment, and may this year be one of health and happiness and peace. Yom Kippur has come once again, and we are together on this sacred day, surrounded by community, by friends, by family, and by the family we have built for ourselves. We are part of a sacred chain of tradition that stretches behind us and before us. And our tradition calls this day the Sabbath of Sabbaths, a time when we pause and reflect on our lives and on our relationships. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks once said, if you want to change the world, you have to begin with yourself. This day offers us that chance, a moment to reach inward, to listen for our own still small voice, to find the beauty and godliness within, and to build ourselves anew. As we enter this time of introspection and renewal, may we embrace the opportunity to connect with those we love, to reach out to the majesty beyond us, and to set our paths forward with purpose. Together, let us journey into the year that awaits, a year full of promise, where we have the power to make real change, starting within. As has been our custom, we now have the pleasure of hearing from our congregational president, Steve Wallace, who will be sharing with us his presidential address. And Steve, your leadership over this past year has guided us through many challenges, and yet we've come through each one with grace, resilience, and most importantly, menschlichkeit, the kindness, integrity, and compassion that define us as a community. Our congregational home has been not only a sanctuary for you, but also a testament to the legacy of your cherished family. Rabbi Pastor once foresaw the immense impact that you would make, both within our walls and far beyond, and how right he was. Your vision, your zeal for shalom point us towards a brighter tomorrow and instills a deep sense of confidence in all of us. And under your stewardship, we're confident that Congregation Shalom will continue to thrive today and flourish for generations to come. We are so grateful for the wisdom, energy, and thoughtfulness that you bring to your role, and may you continue to find fulfillment as you guide Shalom into its next era. And may our community continue to benefit from the legacy of leadership that you carry forward with such dedication. So thank you, Steve, for your enduring commitment and for being an inspiring example to us all.
Thank you, Rabbi. Gemar Chatima Tova, Shabbat Shalom. How good it is to be together. I'd like to extend a special welcome to the over 230 families that have joined Shalom during the time Rabbi Noah has served as our senior rabbi. If this is your first high holidays at Shalom or your 70th, please know that the Shalom family welcomes you. Now, this evening has a tinge of the bittersweet. It is my Moses moment as I enter the final year of my term as president. Like Moses, I am allotted only so many years to accomplish, well, never quite enough. We never get to see our promised land, but that does not mean we lack hope. Let's go back to the year 1970, 54 years ago. Shalom held multiple high holiday services because the old sanctuary, what is now Kesselman Chapel, couldn't hold all our congregants at once. The Wallace family piles into their pigeon gray Pontiac Bonneville. We park where I park today, at the church across the street, across Calumet, because, well, it's family tradition. My father wanted to avoid the inevitable traffic jam after services, and he didn't mind the walk. And in keeping with family tradition, we got up early, as my father preferred the morning service, knowing that the clergy were most likely to keep to the schedule and not run over the allotted time, since an entire day of services rested on a timely run of show. I'm 9 years old. My brother Jonathan is 6, and we're wearing what we called our itchy pants, because children dressed up for the high holidays and wool pants itched. Can you see us there, futzing with our clip-on ties? Well, if my parents sensed that the Wallace boys might get the giggles and crack wise during the service, my father would have to, as my mother June would say, separate the boys. by sitting between us. I have only to close my eyes and I'm back here at Temple Shalom. 54 years ago, Yom Kippur, 1970, my father elbowing both me and John, comically punctuating each and every one of the all hates, especially those that had to do with honoring your parents or obeying rules or following directions, lest we somehow miss the point. But how I miss my father. My father was imbued with an astonishing ability to cultivate hope. He might not have been able to predict the future, but he was certainly invested in it. He believed in happier days ahead. He served as president of the Whitefish Bay School Board because he trusted the power of youth, and he took delight in the unexpected joy that young people brought to life. He regarded the future with hope. My father died 16 years ago. And if you want to know what hope looks like, let me show you this. It's the trunk of a cedar tree. It's a cedar tree, one of 4 that he planted 33 years ago when his first grandchildren were born, in accordance with the old Jewish custom that you plant an acacia tree or a cedar tree so that from it you could build a chuppah when that grandchild grows up and gets married. Now, note to my adult children, Hannah, Josh, and Ben, who might be watching remotely, no pressure on the marriage front. Seriously, you just take your time. Well, my father couldn't know for certain that he'd have grandchildren who want to get married, nor could he know if they'd even desire a Jewish wedding and want to be married under a chuppah, nor did he know whether he would be blessed with the longevity of years to see that happy day. But he had respect for history and tradition, and he had hope. Hope that prompted him to plant 4 cedar trees in our yard 63 years ago. A happy ending. My niece Danny, John and Ruth's eldest, is engaged to be married next summer. So if you want to know what hope looks like, here it is. A cedar branch from a tree planted by my father that I intend to fashion into a chuppah in time for Danny's wedding. Such is the link between Jewish tradition and hope. We simultaneously look backwards and forwards, and we rejoice. As a child, the highlight of the old Yom Kippur service was the string quartet, which was headed by congregant Mark Berman. In fact, Mark Berman played Kol Nidre at Shalom for 60 years. And even now, I can hear Rabbi Pastor's voice introducing the members of the original string quartet. That quartet would play the most poignant and soulful rendition of Kol Nidre, and even as a child, I was moved by the beauty of this ancient melody and by the quartet's enigmatic orchestration, the melody peeking through as if you had to squint your ears and really listen for it. Mark can no longer easily attend services in person, so Shalom faced a challenge. Could we hope to continue the tradition of our Kol Nidre quartet? I'm delighted to say, yes, we can. We continue what we hope will be another 60-year run with our new string quartet. This is how Shalom both respects the past and renews itself for the future. And we have so much to be hopeful for. We are the largest synagogue in Wisconsin and a locomotive force for good in our city, in our state, and indeed the world. This past week alone, we welcomed 7 new families, bringing to 29 the total number of new families joining Shalom in the last fiscal year, and over 230 new families since Rabbi Noah became our senior rabbi. We welcome 13 people to our Introduction to Judaism class, a class that is often the first step for those who seek to convert to Judaism, Jews by choice. We live in parlous and disputatious times, and I marvel at the courage and the personal, intellectual, and spiritual journey undertaken by these potential new members. So if you're here, welcome. Since inception, some 70 years ago, we've been blessed with clergy of extraordinary talent. Senior Rabbi Harry Pastor of blessed memory, of course, Rabbi Ron Shapiro, and certainly Rabbi Noah, whose bar mitzvah 13 years as our senior rabbi. We will celebrate this coming November 16th. And this year, we're delighted to welcome Rabbi Abby Phelps to Shalom. We're overjoyed to have cantorial soloist Megan Guterman join us on the bema and deeply appreciate the outsized musical contributions of Mark and Wendy Cohn, our adult choir, conductor Wendy Traeger, and of course Paul Caston, who celebrates his 40th year at Shalom, making him the longest tenured employee at the congregation. We have a marvelous and industrious staff, including Executive Director Mark Poulet, our Director of Congregational Learning, Brian Avner, and our remarkable religious and Hebrew school educators. Our religious school enrollment stands at 225 students, with 20 new students added just this year. We have 29 teenage madrakim helpers in our school, and 3 of our grades have such high enrollment that we've had to split them into separate classes. Our religious school enrollment is larger by far than any other religious school or temple in Wisconsin. We're a synagogue of choice for many young families seeking to affiliate with the Jewish congregation. Indeed, our old cinder block education wing is bursting at the seams. And you, our congregants, I'm honored to work with so many talented and caring individuals. You sit on our board, you sit on committees, you lead and participate in so many programs, and I stand in awe of the accomplishments of all our members. As a final reflection on leadership, well, especially imperfect leadership, I have to look in the mirror and ponder my own role at the synagogue. 7 times in the book of Genesis alone, we hear the word tov, good in Hebrew. But only twice in the entire Torah does the phrase lo tov, not good, appear. The first is when God said, "It is not good for humankind to be alone." The second is when Yitro sees his son-in-law, Moses, leading alone and says, "What you're doing is not good." The Torah is clear. We cannot live alone. We cannot lead alone. Leadership is a team sport. Community life, congregational life matters. We uphold each other. We educate each other. We provide both solace and joy to each other. And together we maintain an institutional buoyancy that assures the longevity of Congregation Shalom and of the Jewish people. Soon you will see a tangible manifestation of this longevity. This year, in addition to our 8 Torah scrolls, we will parade through the synagogue 10 Torah tot, as we include 2 additional Torah scrolls, one from Italy and one from the ancient Jewish community of Yemen, each several hundred years old. They are a gift from the Rosenthal family. The combined ages of our 10 Torah tot is over 1,000 years. 1,000 years. So what does hope look like? Hope is 10 Torah scrolls. Hope is a cedar branch. Hope is 840 congregational families gathering tonight, despite the fact that we might look differently, vote differently, love differently, conceive of the divine differently, pray differently, opine differently on matters of world issues, foreign and domestic. But tonight we share a hope that together we find comfort and strength. Hope is us. Hope is us. So thank you very much. I am profoundly grateful for your congregational membership, for your spirited viewpoints, for your time and your talent and support. You've made this the very happiest of jobs. I am the luckiest person in this sanctuary, and I couldn't lead, I couldn't serve, nor would I want to without you. Shalom is a sacred place, a place overflowing with happy memories and enthusiasm. I look back with nostalgia, and I look forward with hope. May you all be inscribed in the book of life.
Thank you, Steve. And when we look back on your presidency, when you are two of those sweet words, past president, you'll look back and I think we're all going to say, Haya tov me'od. That was very good. It's now my privilege to invite our adult Hebrew class to lead us in the kindling of our Shabbat and Yontif candles on page 9. Our adult Hebrew class is not only kindling the Yontif candles, but also through their example, igniting the light of learning within our community. And just as we light these candles to welcome sacred time, each of you has embraced the light of learning, continually growing in knowledge and connection to our heritage. Each of you reminds us that the journey of learning is lifelong, and your dedication to study embodies these values. I also want to acknowledge the work and passion of Rick Paler, who is a master teacher in our community. Rick, you inspire and kindle the spirits of members of our community of every age, and we are so grateful to you. May these candles remind us of the importance of continually rekindling our own light, so that we too may share the wisdom we gain and inspire others on their paths. Thank you for your commitment, your intellectual curiosity, and your examples. As these flames burn brightly, so may your love of learning continue to light the way for all of us.
The human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on the sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness on this atonement night. We give thanks for love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom HaKippurim. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and Yom Kippur.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik
Please rise now for the Shehechianu. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time. You may be seated. prayer of ancient origins in mystic chant, protecting us since ancient times from impulsive oaths, pouring forth tradition has supposed from the anguished lips of secret Jews. It's written by Rabbi Richard Levy of blessed memory. Long ago, in one forbidding land after another, our mothers masqueraded in a faith forced on them by tyrants. Our fathers' prayer from their cellars that God would annul their alien vows and help them find the hard way back to their ancestral truth. Kol Nidre reminds us, who do not have to hide, how many fearful cellars we inhabit that close us off from full acceptance of the Jewish faith, that muffle our acceptance of our parents' pledge at Sinai. Forced on them by no one, freely made in the sunlight of the day, now at nightfall may we hear within the mystic chant the hidden origins of our birth into the Jewish people, and may we be protected from every impulse to betray our heritage, to masquerade as someone who we never were and cannot be. Prayer of ancient anguish, let it form our lips into the anguish of the Jew we have not dared to be. Let its painful strain seize hold of our inconsonant hearts till tears of grief pour forth for all the alien vows we've sworn, for all the hard ancestral truths we've casually denied, for all we've turned our backs to since our faith began. What lies within the cellars of our souls tonight? O hidden origins, O mystic chant, O Kol Nidre. We now turn to one of the most profoundly moving parts of our Yom Kippur service, the Kol Nidre instrumental meditation. And for 60 years, we've been blessed by the artistry of Mark Berman, who assembled and led our quartet with extraordinary skill and devotion. As we reflect on his retirement, I want to share a deep sense of gratitude for his 6 decades of majestic music that has made this sacred moment even more meaningful. Mark, we know you're watching, and we thank you for the legacy of beauty and reverence you've brought to our community. You have so elegantly passed the bow to the next generation, and we are grateful, the next bow. Tonight, we are also thrilled to welcome Melissa Honigman, Laura Mintz, Ilana Sedepan, and Wendy Richmond, who will carry this musical legacy forward with commitment and care, ensuring that the music of Kol Nidre continues to resonate within our congregation and our hearts. It's so meaningful that they're members of our Congregation Shalom family. Each of these talented musicians brings both personal connections and professional expertise, weaving together the threads of tradition and renewal. As we meditate on the haunting music of Kol Nidre, we are grateful for this powerful continuation of our beloved tradition, and we look forward to the next era of this sacred experience. Beautiful. Thank you so much for setting the tone for our evening of introspection and soul searching. Atonement Day has come, and as we prepare ourselves for the Kol Nidre as it is chanted and read, we call on Dean and Debbie Zemmel to offer words of reflection as we enter the gates of Teshuvah on page 14. We're so grateful for all that you do for our congregation and the greater Jewish community. And we again want to thank you for entrusting us with the Sephardic Torah scrolls, which will be held before our congregation tonight, and the many beautiful artifacts that will join them. Torah scrolls, like people, embody the wisdom and the stories and the spiritual journeys of those who come before us. And these Sephardic Torah scrolls are not only a testament to Rabbi Frank and Harriet Rosenthal's enduring legacy, but also a gift to our congregation, connecting us to the vast story of Jewish history. Thank you. It is an honor to be caretakers of this extraordinary gift.
Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal. A night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, rejoice with trembling.
We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep.
We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah.
We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community, in this hour of shared weakness and humility.
We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding.
We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly.
We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might.
We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world.
We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life.
We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity.
We now call on Lena Wallace and Sivan and Eitan and Penina and Adam. We know you're watching, and we know that you couldn't be here, but we know that you are connected with all of us tonight. We call them forward to open up our art doors, and we are grateful, Lena, for all that you do for our community, our greater Jewish community, and the Milwaukee Jewish Day School community, raising up the next generation. So we turn now to page 16 as we rise, as our Torah scrolls enter into our midst. With one voice, assembled sages, past and present, declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
בישיבה של מעלה ובישיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם ההוויינים.
Please turn to page 18 for Kol Nidre. We read together on page 19 at the bottom. Give us the strength to keep our promises, the sacred vows of partners in marriage, the promises of love and care between parents and children, the promises of duty between citizens and country, the oaths of doctors, the sacred trust of teachers. Give us the strength to keep our promises to our friends and colleagues, to those who live with us and depend on us, to those who work for us and those for whom we work, to those who pray with us and those for whom we pray, to those we love and those we serve. Give us the courage to keep our promises to ourselves, to one another, and to future generations. Page 20. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the strangers who live in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. We continue now on page 22.
Rabbi Judah ben Samuel taught, chant your supplications to God in a melody that makes the heart weep, and your praises of God in one that will make it sing. Thus you will be filled with love and joy for the one who sees the heart. We continue with the call to prayer, Baruch Hu. We turn to page 24. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom valayla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch alenu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk. We turn to page 26, and we read together in the English. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people Israel. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. For you are blessed, the one who loves your people Israel. We turn to page 28 for the Shema. Please be seated. We turn now to page 30 for the Ve'ahavta. We read together in the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. Adonai, your God, is true. We continue on page 39, and we read responsively. Our sages taught it is proper to mention the exodus from Egypt in our morning prayers and also at night. We celebrate the going out from Egypt in the morning light, full of confidence and vigor as we enter the new day. But in the evening, weary from the day's exertions, cast down and fearful at the coming of the night, what can the Exodus teach us then? Our nighttime prayer brings hope and trust in the future, as God did not abandon our people long ago through the long, dark night of exile. So the Holy One will be with us in time to come. To stand by the one you love, that is the true essence of faithfulness, the meaning of emunah. So it is written in the Psalms, to proclaim your kindness in the morning and your faithfulness in the nights. Sing with joy in the mornings of your life, when light surrounds you and the world seems beautiful and good, and in the evenings of your life, when you dwell in sorrow and the world seems dark, do not despair.
Mahu decha Yifadar Adonai et Yaakov uge'ulo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We turn now to page 42. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. With power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom, and through your wisdom restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives, be our shield, make us stronger than the enemies we face, illness and war, famine and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings, for you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us, we who go forth to life. Watch over us that we may come home in peace now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed one, you spread over us a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. We turn to page 44 for Vishamru. We continue on page 45 with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Be'alma ידע ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי דקודשו.
We rise for the tefillah on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tivtak ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagedol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imot u'mivigula livnei v'nehem leman shemo be'ahava. Melech Hoseh u'Mashiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sorah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia morid hatah Mechaker chayim b'chesed Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim Samech novlim rofei cholim u'matei asurim u'mekayem
Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. We turn to page 53. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukadoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. Please be seated. We turn to page 63, where we read responsively. Page 63. Like smoke above the altar, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. As Israel once came to you with offerings from the flock, so we bring to you the offerings of our mouth, not lip service, but heartfelt prayer. So the prophet taught, return, O Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to Adonai. Accept the words we set before you, awkward and imperfect as they are, our hesitant questions, our corrosive doubts. Accept, too, our silences, our thoughts that rise in the stillness, our faith that coheres for a fragile instant, then dissipates like smoke above the altar. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu bo l'tovah, ufokdenu vo livracha, v'hoshienu vo l'chaim. Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. We turn to page 71, where we read responsively. On this night of atonement, grant us, God, a sense of your presence as we call upon your name. Speak your hopeful message to each yearning heart and answer the worthy petitions of each searching soul. Purify and strengthen our noble strivings and cleanse us of all our unworthy deeds. Together in fellowship and in love, and grant us the joy which comes from enriching other lives. Help us to be loyal to the heritage we share. Draw us near to Torah in wisdom and faith. Devotion to our people everywhere. Keep alive our faith in righteousness and truth. Bless us with hopes to uplift our daily lives and keep steadfast our courage and our resolve at all times. On this night of atonement, O God, to be worthy of your presence as we call upon your name. We turn now to page 72 for Ritzeh.
To thee, Lord.
We turn to page 74. Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed. We read responsively in the English, God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. We continue responsively on page 76. And for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We turn to page 78 for Shalom Rav. We now take a few moments for silent meditation.
Shabbat Shalom and good Yontif, everyone. I want to thank our choir. Just majestically raise our spirits on these high holidays. Thank you to Paul Kasten for your 40 years, Wendy Traeger for your 20. Thank you to Megan Ryder-Guterman for uplifting our spirits so beautifully in song. We are now going to turn to page 82. That's page 82, which is dedicated to the Vidui, our confessions of sins. And the Vidui is not just a recital of sin, but a deep and profound introspection, akin to the reflections that we might have at the end of our lives. It offers us a moment to genuinely confront ourselves, to be utterly honest and transparent about our actions and about our motivations. And the Hebrew word chet, while translated as sin, literally means missing the mark. It's a term from archery. And this perspective suggests that at our core, we as human beings are innately good. And our mistakes, our missteps are not out of an inherent wickedness, but moments of error. This viewpoint reinforces a truly optimistic view of humanity. So we chant Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu as we confess, we engaging in the physical act of pounding our chest. It underscores that atonement isn't just an intellectual exercise. The impact has to resonate beyond our minds. It must pierce our hearts. True repentance and realization must be felt viscerally, a raw emotion that pushes us towards change and growth. And so we rise now together as we read on page 82. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, ve'al titalam mitchinatenu. We read the English together. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
ay 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 Hevinu,
Hevinu,
Vehirshanu,
Vehirshanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Chamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tafanu Sheker,
Tofanu Sheker,
ay 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 Ya'atznura,
Ya'atznura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latznu,
Latznu,
Maranu,
Maranu,
Niatznu,
Niatznu,
ay 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 Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Pashanu,
Tatsaranu,
Saranu,
Kishinu Orev,
Kishinu Orev,
ay, 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 Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichanu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
Titanu,
ay, 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 ay,
Of these wrongs we are guilty. We read together. We betray, we steal, we scorn. We act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. You may be seated. We continue now on page 89 as we read these contemporary Al-Chet readings. I'll do the Hebrew at the top, and we'll read the English together. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. We wrong you when we wrong ourselves. For our failures of integrity, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. Let's read together. For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, and for distorting facts to suit our purposes. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For succumbing in silence to social pressure, and for acquiescing in beliefs we find offensive. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For using others' bad behavior to excuse our own, and for blaming others for our mistakes and poor decisions. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For pretending to emotions we do not feel, and for appearing to be other than what we are. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, and for tolerating in ourselves the faults we condemn in our parents. For failures of justice. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. We dishonor you when we dishonor our society. For our failures of justice, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For being indifferent to deprivation and hunger, while accepting a culture of self-indulgence and greed. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For abuse of power in boardrooms, courtrooms, and classrooms, and for accepting the neglect of children and elders, the ill and the weak. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For permitting social inequalities to prevail, and for lacking the vision to transcend our selfishness. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For glorifying violence and turning hastily to war, and for allowing history to repeat itself. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For behaviors that risk the future of our planet, and for wreaking havoc on our only true inheritance, God's creation. On page 91, for failures of love. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. We sin against you when we hurt one another. For our failures of love, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For exploiting another for our own pleasure, and for the wounds we cause through betrayal and deception. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For withholding affection from those we claim to love, and for using love to control our spouses and partners, our children and parents. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For abandoning friends and siblings whose love has sustained us, and for neglecting those who love us when they need us most. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For harboring in our relationships mistrust, boredom, and disloyalty, and for rejecting our partner's efforts at repair and renewal. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha. For possessiveness, jealousy, and avarice, and for lashing out in anger at those who are closest to us. Who among us is blameless? Who shall say, I have not erred, I have not wronged or sinned? We abuse, we brutalize, we covet, we deceive, we enslave, we feud, we gossip, we humiliate, we injure, we judge unfairly, we kill, we lie, we manipulate, we neglect, we ostracize, we plagiarize, we quarrel, we rage, we shame, we turn away, we undermine, we vilify, we waste, we exploit the earth, we yearn too much for yesterday and too easily forget Zion. Our sins are an alphabet of woe. Help us, Holy One, to follow your ways of integrity, justice, and love. Teach us to seek forgiveness with humility and an open heart. For all these wrongs, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. We continue now on page 98. Page 98.
Shivinu Adonai V'kabil barachamim uvrot son et fila
We continue now on page 104. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Let's read together. Our God and God of our fathers, God of our mothers, do not abandon us, leaving us in shame. Do not dissolve the covenant you made with us. Rather, draw us near to your teaching. Show us your ways and teach us how to live. Let us be open to your love, ready to revere your very being. Cut away the hardness of our hearts, so that we may turn to you with our heart's devotion, truly repentant. For the sake of your great name, pardon our failures, forgive our moral weakness, as in the holy words of your psalmist, Adonai, as befits your name, forgive my sin, no matter how great. We continue on page 106.
We are your people.
And you are our God.
We are your children.
And you are our Father, our Mother.
We are the people who serve you.
And you call us to serve.
We are your community.
And you are our portion.
We are your legacy.
And you are our purpose.
We are your flock.
And you are our shepherd.
We are your vineyard.
And you watch over us.
We are your work.
And you are our maker.
We are your beloved.
And you are our lover.
We are your treasure.
And you are the one we cherish.
We are your people.
And you reign over us.
We offer you our words.
And you offer us yours. So forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. Yom Kippur is a time of confession, and tonight I have a confession to make. Since October 7th, I've been furious. I was furious when, after dancing with our Torah scrolls on Simchas Torah, we received the devastating news of the unprovoked massacre of our brothers and sisters. I was furious when, on that very same day, there were those who celebrated and called for even worse violence. I was furious when campus protests erupted where young Jewish students were intimidated daily simply for being Jewish especially those who believe in the right of the Jewish people to self-determination in our ancestral homeland. I was furious when statements from religious and humanitarian organizations showed little compassion for our victims, with some even scolding Israel as Israelis still gathered their dead. I was furious when, in interfaith settings, I witnessed a denial of the sexual violence against women on October 7th, and as I lifted my voice, I was met with silence from our interfaith partners. I was furious as I stood in the Gaza envelope and saw firsthand the destruction, the burnt-out homes, the stories of slaughter, the Nova music site, where the ground itself seemed to scream with the injustice of it all. I am furious at how our politics have divided us in incomprehensible ways, how people spew vile words from the safety of their keyboards, saying things they'd never dare utter out loud. I'm furious at the misinformation, the pettiness, the partisan divisiveness. I'm furious at the increase in anti-Semitic incidents in this country and beyond. I'm furious at the deaths of innocents, no matter what side of the conflict they may be on. I'm furious that hostages still languish underground in Gaza, that babies mark their birthdays in darkness, and that elderly survivors of the Holocaust and other atrocities are now suffering anew, taken from their homes and their families, reliving the hell that they had survived. I'm furious that the Magen David, the Star of David, was turned into a symbol of hate on the side of a building right here in Milwaukee. I'm furious that just days ago on October 7th, when gathering to mourn our losses and pray for hostages, we were met with protests and defilement in cities and on campuses around the world. I'm furious at the silence from those we call friends and neighbors. And worse still, I'm furious that their silence reveals they either don't understand or have perhaps even abandoned us. And I'm furious at their absence when we needed them to stand with us. I am furious, but this is not just any anger, it's a relentless, simmering fury, burning like a furnace that refuses to be extinguished. It sits just beneath the surface, fed by a steady stream of injustices and heartbreaks. I sometimes find myself numb to it until I hear yet another piece of troubling news, see another soul-searing image, and suddenly my senses are engulfed in rage again. How many of you have felt this same fire this year? How many of you have wrestled with this unyielding anger? Today is a day of confession, and I confess that I have grown too comfortable with this anger. I've held it close, perhaps even nurtured it, because it feels justified, because it feels righteous. However, there are moments, and this moment included, when it also feels like I'm pouring a cup of water into the ocean. Our society today seems to be flooded with this anger. It's as if each of us, carrying our own righteous fury, are only adding to the stormy waters around us, an ocean of resentment, of indignation, of rage that threatens to drown out any sense of peace or understanding. We see it everywhere, on the news, in our social media feeds, in our conversations, and even in our own hearts. We live in a world where anger has become the default reaction. We're quick to call out, quick to condemn, and quick to divide. And this anger, it's manifest in the way minor inconveniences on the road can lead to confrontations that escalate into road rage. It's in social media exchanges that devolve into insults, in retail settings where frustrated customers bully employees, and our political landscape reflects this anger as discourse focuses on vilifying the other side instead of finding common ground. Even in hospitals now, Signs remind us to treat healthcare workers with respect. Reminders needed more than ever in a time of constant hostility. We stand ready to defend our beliefs with clenched fist, yet we struggle to extend an open hand that invites understanding and connection. I realize today that there is a struggle within me. Perhaps there's a struggle within you too. But we're not alone in this struggle. We're never alone. I want to share with you a passage from the Talmud, a discourse on prayer that contains a surprising message, one that has captivated the minds of rabbis for centuries. And it begins with this teaching. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Yossi, Minayin shehakodesh baruch hu mitpalel. From where do we know that the Holy One, blessed be God, prays? Shne'amar v'haviotim el har kodshi v'simachtim beveit tefilati. For it is written, I will bring them to my holy mountain and make them joyful in the house of my prayer. Beveit tefilati. Lo ne'amar beit tefilatam, ela beit tefilati. Notice it does not say the house of their prayer, but rather the house of my prayer. Mikan shehakodesh baruch hu mitpalel. From this we learn that the Holy One, blessed be God, prays. Okay, let me decode this a bit. What we learn from this passage is simply that God prays. This raises a practical and a profound question. My mitzleh, what does God pray? Rav Zutra Bar Tovia offers an answer in the name of Rav, a simple yet stunning prayer. Yehi ratzon miofanai, shi besu rachamai et kaasi. May it be my will that my mercy conquer my anger. May it be my will that my mercy conquer my anger. When I first studied this passage, and quite frankly, every time since, I found it absolutely stunning. Think about this. Even God wrestles with anger. And even God prays for compassion to overcome it. This passage speaks directly to us, especially on Yom Kippur, as we confront our own struggles with anger and resentment. If even the divine seeks to temper anger with mercy, how much more so must we strive to let compassion in? I want you to know that this sermon I'm giving tonight is as much for myself as it is for you. The anger is still with me even now. That's why I've written these words, why I'm speaking them to you, because there's a part of my soul that resists the idea of compassion, that questions the possibility of a better angel's approach in a world that seems to offer too little of it. And the anger I feel, it scares me. It scares me because I realize how easy it is to drown in it. And I worry that you can drown in it too. But here, on Yom Kippur, we're reminded that even God prays for mercy to overcome anger. And if God can wrestle with these emotions, perhaps we can find the strength to do it as well. We can choose to let compassion in and to fight against the currents of rage that threaten to consume us. Today I confess that I have stood with my cup in hand. I have poured my own water into the flood, adding to the anger and the hostility that have come to define our times. But today on Yom Kippur, we're asked to pause. We're given this one day to step back from the ocean of anger, to look within ourselves and to ask, what would it take to drain these waters? What would it take to reclaim our capacity for compassion even in the face of this unyielding fury? While anger can feel like it gives us strength, it can also make us prisoners. And Yom Kippur calls us to freedom, a freedom that comes not from clinging to our anger, but from directing our anger to something different, from choosing to look beyond our own pain and finding empathy even when it feels impossible. So let us wade into these waters together to confront the anger that's filled our hearts and begin the process of release. For only then can we hope to transform this ocean of fury into rivers of compassion that can bring healing and peace to ourselves and, God willing, to our broken and bitter world. Now, just as we considered how the divine seeks mercy over anger, I'm reminded of a story that has guided my own life, one that comes from the indigenous peoples of this land. It is a beautiful story that I've told to my children on more than one occasion when they might feel the pull to anger and hostility. An elder from the First Nations sat with his grandchild by the fire one evening, and sensing that the boy was troubled, he decided to tell him this truth. As the flames danced, the elder spoke, his voice steady and calm, yet carrying the weight of many years. "My child," he began, "there is a battle that goes on within me. It is a fierce struggle, a battle between two wolves. One wolf is anger, envy, sorrow, greed, regret, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. And this wolf burns hot with the fires of rage, always ready to lash out, to take more, and to destroy." The elder's eyes softened as he continued. "The other wolf is different. This wolf is peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, compassion, and truth. It's the wolf that understands, that offers forgiveness, and finds joy in the happiness of others. This wolf is patient and seeks connection." The grandchild was silent for a moment, pondering the image of these two wolves locked in a struggle inside every person, and then he looked up and asked, "But grandfather, which wolf will win?" The elder smiled, placing a hand gently on the boy's shoulder, and replied, "The one we feed." On Yom Kippur, as we reflect on our anger, we must also ask ourselves, which wolf will we feed? Will we feed our anger, letting it grow, or will we choose to feed our compassion? In Jewish tradition, there are midot, attributes that we cultivate. Rachmanis or Rachmaniyut, compassion, is one of the finest that can be attained. And how we get there is by engaging in acts that soften the heart, that feed the noble wolf. Even when anger permeates our beings, it's in moments of compassion that we begin to transform our anger into something redemptive. Yom Kippur reminds us and challenges us to transform ourselves into something better. It's a day that calls us not just to acknowledge our anger, but to wrestle with it, to peel it back, the layers, and ask ourselves, how can I channel this anger in ways that heal rather than harm? How can I, in the face of such anger, choose compassion without surrendering my sense of justice or at the expense of our safety? Because anger can be justified, even necessary. Like Moses, who smashed the tablets upon seeing the golden calf, and like the prophets who railed against injustice, we know that anger can be an essential reaction to a world gone wrong. On Rosh Hashanah, I spoke about turning from fear to hope. On Yom Kippur, we recognize that just as fear and hope are intertwined, so too are fury and compassion. And as much as I am afraid and I am hopeful, I am grappling not only with my anger, but also with what to do with it. And I know I'm not alone in that struggle. So today, as we reflect together, I want to invite us to find that balance, to recognize our righteous anger, but also open our hearts to the path of compassion. Because if we let our fury consume us, we risk losing sight of kindness and empathy and love that Yom Kippur calls us to renew. And just as we call on the divine today to look upon us with compassion and not anger, so must we find the way to do the same. And this is the way forward, not in abandoning our anger, but in tempering it with compassion that connects us all. While righteous anger propels us to speak out against wrongs, it's compassion that ensures our actions bring repair and not more destruction. But we can't be only merciful or only filled with anger. For if we are all anger, that will destroy us. And if we are all mercy, we wouldn't be human. And there are times when mercy truly falls short. But perhaps there is a third way, a middle path where anger and mercy meet. This is the way of prophetic Judaism. Our Reform movement of Judaism is deeply rooted in the visions of the prophets. Prophetic Judaism teaches that while righteous anger can fuel our fight against injustice, it must be paired with Rachmanis. The balance between the two is essential, because that balance demands that our pursuit of justice remain rooted in empathy and not animosity. That we may fury at those who would destroy us, but that we don't become those that would destroy us. It's not that our prophets weren't driven by a sense of moral outrage. Think of Amos, who denounced those who sell the righteous for silver and the poor for a pair of sandals. His words were a searing condemnation of a society that tramples upon the vulnerable. This anger wasn't born from hatred. It was born from love for humanity and a fierce desire to protect those who suffer. And consider, too, the story of Jonah, a story that we'll read tomorrow afternoon. He was sent to deliver a warning to the people of Nineveh and initially refuses, preferring to see the city punished for its sins. Yet when Nineveh repents, God forgives them, and that sparks Jonah's own anger. He struggles with the compassion God extends to those he sees as unworthy, and God responds, however, by reminding Jonah of the city's innocence, of the many lives within who know no better, of the children, even of the animals. And this reminder is a call to see beyond transgressions and to recognize the humanity in all people. On a personal level, we might think of times when we've been wronged or betrayed. Perhaps we've been angry at a friend or a family member or a community member. And it's tempting to let that anger fester and grow. But as the prophet Micah reminds us, what does God require us to do? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. Rachmaniyut calls us to recognize the frailty and fallibility in others, just as we hope others will recognize it in us. It invites us to transform our anger into an opportunity for action and growth. As we leave here today, we may still carry the weight of our anger and pain. I'm still furious. I am furious at the violence that tore through our communities, but I will stand firm in my commitment to peace and justice for all. I am furious at those who deny the suffering of our people, but I will lift up the voices of those who are silenced, ensuring that their stories are heard. I'm furious at the divisions that fracture our society, but I will strive to build bridges of understanding and connection, even when it feels impossible. I'm furious at the rising tide of anti-Semitism and hatred, but I will respond with resilience, ensuring that compassion, not hatred, shapes our world. I'm furious at the innocent lives lost in darkness and captivity, but I will keep the light of hope burning, advocating for freedom and dignity. I'm furious at the silence from those who should be our allies, but I will continue to speak truth to power, and I will work to inspire others to stand alongside us in the pursuit of justice. I'm still furious, but I will resolve to transform that anger, not into bitterness or despair, but into a commitment to act with purpose, with integrity and compassion. May we all take the passion that fuels our anger and channel it into prophetic action, standing up for justice, healing divisions, and creating a world where compassion prevails. The prophets remind us that anger, when tempered with mercy, becomes a powerful force for good. It's not enough to be angry. We must be righteous. And as we stand here on this sacred evening of Yom Kippur, we acknowledge that while we may be surrounded by anger, we are also surrounded by love, by hope, and by the power to change our world. When we think of next year, this year 5785, let us think of it not as something to wait for, but as something that we build together. Let us look to a future where our hearts will break open to love, where our actions reflect the justice and compassion we hold dear, and may it be our will that our mercy conquer our anger. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will, and so too may it be ours.
Tomorrow's uncertain, we're gonna get by till it's here. So here's to next year. Here's to next year when the people are pleading, 'cause the day seems so stark when there's nobody leading you out of the dark. Can't let the misery harden your heart. The worst will pass over, and one day the waters will part. 'Cause next year, our hearts will break open. Next year, we'll breathe in the sky. Though tomorrow's uncertain, we're gonna get by till it's here. So here's to next year. Here's to next year. Next year, our hearts will break open. Till it's here. As you wander and wonder how long you stay lost, remember the oceans and deserts we've already lost. Next year.
On Rosh Hashanah, I held a shovel that was used to dig into the dirt. If you remember at the groundbreaking, that shovel belonged to Ellen Abrams Blankenship, and it's a joy to call upon her and Jay to step up to our bima, because if ever there were two people who are always willing to do the difficult and challenging work for our congregations, to metaphorically dig that shovel and literally dig that shovel into the earth around our congregation, it's the two of you. So thank you so much for all that you do for our community and our congregation. We are going to rise now as we turn to page 116 for Aleinu.
לשבח לאדון הכל, להתיק גדולה ויוצר בראשית, שלא שמו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונה. ואנחנו קוראים ושוכבים ומודים לפני הלב אחרי הבאים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושלום
You may be seated. We turn now in our Machzor to page 122 as we think of those who have entered into life eternal. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of the period of Shloshim for Irving Brosla, for Sarah Vida Berman, Jackie Gilbert, and Nancy Ketchba. To those names, too, we think of those for whom we commemorate their yahrzeit this week. We think of Ronald Barmash, Sheldon Morton Barnett, Milton Becker, Wendy B. Berman, Florence Bernstein, Harold Biller, Albert Bornstein, Sarah Kagan, Minnie Dubman, Thomas Dubo, Arnold Efron, Richard Fagenbaum, Louis Feingold, Esther Friedman, Edwin Goldman, Jack Grinbaum, Calvin Joswick, Samuel Kagan, Yale Kaplan, Leah Klein, Leon Leopold, Harvey Levin, Ismail Levkov, Jack Lichtig, Irvin B. London, Betty Minkin, Howard Palais, Morris Paley, Bernard Pava, Leo Peter, Leonard Pikus, Leo D. Pinsky, Harry Pollack, Mary Rosenberg, Lee Rothman, Sam Rothman, Shep Schmidt, Martin Schneider, A. Allen Sverdlin, Leo Thalhofer, Glicka Ugent. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently than I did, please do call those names out loud as I look in your direction. May their memories be for a blessing. In addition to the names of our loved ones, so too do we think of all of those who have died due to war and or terrorism. We think of all those who have died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all those who've died in defense of the state of Israel, as well as all those innocent victims of that war there. We think of all those who have died due to the terrible viruses of racism and xenophobia, as well as all those who perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. The Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 122. We rise now as one community as we recite these sacred words together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yamru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu La'ela ul'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Now it's my pleasure to call upon Steve Wallace, who's going to give us some announcements just for tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow. There is so much happening at Congregation Shalom in the next couple of months, but please do check the tables where you find flyers that are going to talk about all of those wonderful things.
Thank you, Rabbi. Please join us Yom Kippur afternoon tomorrow for our study sessions at 1 p.m. Our Director of Congregational Learning, Brian Avner, will examine how we individually and collectively grow from the inevitable disagreements that are a result of these disputatious times. Our second study session will be led by psychiatrist Stephen Moffick, who will discuss how disagreements actually help us reflect on the one-year anniversary of the Israel-Hamas war. Both events will be held in Clearfield Hall. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And we are going to turn to page 127, and we are going to join with our choir and with Megan as we sing Hashivenu. Please rise as we turn to these very special words that remind us that it is never too late to return. Shabbat Shalom, Gmar Chatima Tova, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.